Welcome along then. It's round 3 in season 11, and for the first time, we're going from the Netherlands. Yes, indeed. Zandvoort is our destination today. And the last Dutch Grand Prix was held in 1985 with Niki Lauda won for McLaren, 2/10 ahead of Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. That's some decent company to be along in the country with the highest population density in Europe, with a total population of 17,140,000, and 92.5% of Dutch citizens live in urban areas, and things will be just as crowded out on the track. 36 laps, 2.65-mile circuit with 2 DRS zones and speeds of up to 202 miles an hour. There's 15 corners, 10 to the right and 5 to the left. And some things to note, since we haven't been here since 1985. Turn 1, the first of the right-handers, at the end of a very long pit straight. Expect many, many moves to get done there. Turn 4, the long banked left-hander. Get the traction right, and you'll be in great shape going through the middle sector. And get it wrong, you'll find yourself losing loads and loads of times. Turn 12, the end of the second DRS zone. Who can plunge down the inside and hold their nerves? That inside line quickly becomes the outside line through the Audi S. To the tires. The hardest in the Pirelli range, the C1, the C2, and the C3. The medium's about half a second slower than the soft compound tires. The hards, a second slower than the soft and the medium, proving to be a very, very good race tire. We'll have to see what kind of strategies the drivers go out with. It could be a one-stop. It could be a two-stop, because a safety car could be somewhat likely around here, and because it is the Netherlands, wet tires if we need them, as always. It's back-to-back podiums for DXC Miles, who won last week. Sees him top of the Drivers' Championship by 6 points over DJ Danny, with Ryan 97 on the podium for the first time this season, increasing his points total to 12 on the season. It's tight at the top at the Constructors once more, with Mercedes and Red Bull level on 27 points, with Renault stalking their prey at 23 points in last season's Constructors Champions Racing Point. It's a disappointing start to the season for them. Only 6 points, plumb last on the grid. And well, Luke, it's a very shortened grid tonight. And speaking of Racing Point, you got to get points. You got to show up.
Yeah, 100%, and especially for a short grid here today, it's going to be very important to try and get the points. It's going to be a lot easier than usual to get points, so teams that are not used to getting points or not used to finishing high up will have the opportunity to finish higher up the grid. But teams like Racing Point, who need points, aren't going to get any today, because no drivers are turning up for this race, which is surprising, because I thought this race is a new track on this year's game. A very good game, very good track, sorry, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm surprised by that, but to have lots of people missing is surprising, but good opportunity for others.
Well, and it's also a good opportunity out front for Ryan 97 and Jewel, who's back this week, to build on their Constructors lead, with Ryan picking up that podium last week. Of course, Jewel winning at France the first week, so a good start for Mercedes, but they have HK and Miles right on their heels. However, Red Bull, another team suffering a missing driver tonight. Matt's stepping in for HK, and HK, who hasn't gotten off to the best of starts this season, maybe just taking a week off, clearing his head a little bit.
Yeah, well, we all know about that, but a good opportunity for some newcomers here. I think there's 2 F2 drivers coming in today, so it'll be a good opportunity for them to try and push their way into F1 maybe next season, or definitely seasons to come. So good opportunity for others there.
Well, it should be a good opportunity for those indeed that, as you mentioned, don't always have the opportunity to get points. The likes of Kvyat too, the likes of Liverpool Ewan as well, who picked up his first 5 points for McLaren last week. He's currently sat 10th in the Drivers' Championship. Darnell as well. So both McLarens one of the few teams that are have both their drivers here tonight. It's a good opportunity to finally launch their season. It seems 8 points on the season, tied with Ferrari so far in the constructors. Hasn't been a good start, but after tonight, we'll only be a quarter of the way through the season, so still plenty of time left to go to salvage somewhat and get themselves higher in the standings.
Yeah, McLaren have been quite a inconsistent team so far this season. Only 2 races gone, but qualifying, I think in the first race we saw them right at the bottom, and the second they were sort of in the middle pushing towards the top. So it's been a bit inconsistent, and during the race they've had lots of ups and downs. So it'll be interesting to see if they can sort of build on what they have and try and get a bit of consistency going.
Well, that consistency is going to have to come out here at Zandvoort. Remember, it's only 12 drivers tonight, and it's going to be interesting because the strategy, it could go either way. We could see soft to hard, we could see medium to hard, we could see medium to soft, we could see any of number of things, Luke, but it is kind of open-ended in terms of the strategy.
Yeah, well, it all depends. If you finish outside the top 10, then you've got a choice of those tyres, and that can be a massive choice to take. Obviously, do you stick and try and go on the 1 to the board, do you try and push really hard and try and go on the 2, make that work? But no, it's going to be interesting to see. For me personally, I always favour the least amount of stops, but you know, you could completely go the other way and try and push those tyres right to the limit. So it'll be interesting to see what these other drivers do.
Looks like most currently are out on the soft compound tires of Groundy. Currently the lead man out on track. He was first out of the pits, coming around the second of the 2 DRS, and was significantly shorter than the first one. If you want to take us for a lap around Zandvoort for the first time in almost 40 years.
Yeah, should be interesting. I'm going to follow Darnell as I'm right on him at the moment to get to the line, but as he gets ready, he slows right up just to try and get the right. There's a damage sector 2, but here he goes around the banking and onto the really long pitch straight as he comes through and starts his lap. There's going to be a big braking zone going down into turn 1. You've got to make sure you stay off the curb because that can really wow, I've done that many a times. But as he comes through the first corner and then heads up to the second corner, which isn't much of a corner, he can take that flat out. And to a surprisingly hard braking zone on turn 3 as he comes onto another long straight, and the 4th corner, which is again flatted out, and turn 5, which is again also flat out. And a quick braking zone, lifts out brakes as he comes through turn 7, and then another quite a big corner coming up here. You can lose a lot of time here on turn 9, and then going through to turn 10, which is a big braking zone as you head through to the first DRS zone of the track. Here's another long straight, lots of long straights on this track, then a big braking zone coming into the chicane on turn 11, and then turn 12. Let's look up there as it goes through. Now another, this is important, this is trying not to ruin your lap, coming into the end of the track, and it comes through a little 13 and heads up towards the banking, and then a long banking and heads through. He's quite quick to the line here, but he does dive. Oh yes, he does dive into the pit stop there. Must not be happy with that, but not bad start.
They invalidated his lap before it even got started, so 109.0 is the time that Mercury has set for the rest of the field to have his lap somewhat impeded by, is that a Mercedes right there? Looks like he's peeling in the pit lane anyway, so it doesn't look like no harm, no foul, but was teeing up a lap. What's not to, actually, he might be, indeed, he's following Jamie Roddy, his teammate, for tonight, right back out as well, so Renault at least were able to find some big snap of oversteer from DJ Danny there. We saw it a lot on Darnell's lap between the lockups, and there were 2 or 3 different corners, just big snaps of oversteer in that McLaren. It comes around the long left-hander onto the second of the 2 DRS straights through the gear 7th. He's going to get up into 8th gear, 182 miles an hour for the Renault. DJ Danik coming through this final sector. Look it up. It almost squeezes you out into that final corner. Comes around here, 180, 190. He will cross the line on the mediums. The third fastest, so 109.9 from Danny. It's right at 97 on the soft tire, 108.8. It's already indicative of the times that others are going to have to set, because the benchmark has been placed and it should be an uphill battle for some. The likes of Jamie Roddy and Jewel, who probably is going to want to have another go at his
Yeah, like we said it earlier, it's a good opportunity for others to try and get points. But it's interesting to see that DJ Danny is set his time on the mediums. I'm sure he'll come out on the softs towards the end of the session, but you know, you never know. He might try and push onto the mediums, and then he's got the mediums to start with. I just doubt it. But no, there's another option there we haven't really considered yet.
Could that be part of that two-stop strategy? Because you can go soft, medium, soft, medium, soft, soft. We could see any mixture. And if he's the lead driver on the mediums, inside the top 10, in or thereabouts, with the rest of the crowd on the softs, he could potentially throw a wrench in really Mercedes' plans.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure Mercedes will be definitely thinking of that if they want to continue their streak at the top. It's a bit surprising for Mercedes, actually. They've had one of their drivers out, Jewel, last week, but they're still managed to push around the top. Ryan 87 has been sort of another one who's sort of been inconsistent. He's qualified really well, and then sort of slipped off in the early parts of the race. The safety car last year really affected him, but no, hopefully he can build on his qualifying. His qualifying has been very good, so we'll see if he can sort of build on that rate and try and get a good finish.
Oh, we were mentioning McLaren before. We were on board with Darnell, and we just saw him through the middle sector, so it just hasn't really come to life for Darnell. It's not been a happy hunting ground here in IRL so far for him. Looks like most are peeling into either the pit lane or on outlaps of their own. It's going to be heading across the line, currently sitting in second, 2/10 off of provisional pole, so 97 for Romeo. Their big lockup. I think that could be a common theme, like the big lockups into turn 4, just locking up and unloading that left front tire.
Yeah, definitely, especially into turn 1 as well. Definitely the big braking zones, and that really does affect the lap. But yeah, I'm sure we'll see lots of it, as there is a yellow flag coming through sector 2. That is, I think it's just Jamie Rowdy just letting someone through. But yeah, lockups are expected on this track, especially when you're pushing the car to its limits.
Mercury was slightly impeded by the Renault there. He tried his best to get out of the way, but it might actually hurt his lap time. Just as I say that, he goes fastest in the middle sector. This could be a half-decent time with 10 minutes here remaining. Still plenty of time for Mercury to do a lap, get back in. Can he hold it together? Yes, he can through the final corner. He comes 7th gear. DRS wide open for the Alfa Romeo. Mercury is going to come across the line, improve on his time ever so slightly, and be just a couple thousandths off of Ryan 97. So the marker has been set, a fastest middle and final sector for the Alfa Romeo. I think probably targeting a 103, 104 potentially track evolution.
Yeah, I believe, of course, we can never really find out until we actually get to the lap, but good sort of marker there, good lap there, good second sector, third sector. First sector wasn't the greatest, but I'm sure he knows that and he can build on it. But yeah, good start for Mercury.
Red Bull of Matt Swainus. Both Red Bulls yet to set a time as Jewel. His looks like he's had a moment and crashed out of the session, so you wonder how that's going to play on things, as DJ Danny looks to be on a lap as well. We'll try to see what we can find. The Mercedes DJ Danny's car. It looks like maybe a snap of oversteer has shown Jewel a wall. And a 29.9 is not going to do that Mercedes any favors at all.
No, Joel will not be happy with that, especially, well, he's only done one race so far and he finished first, so now qualifying, well, he's 7th at the moment, but I'm sure he's not going to finish there. But yeah, he's not going to be happy with that. It's really going to affect Mercedes, constructors' hopes. Brian 97 at the moment, but to have Joel out, I'm sure he won't finish them. He'll be definitely pushed back. But kind of frustrating for Joel.
Here's something. DJ Danny going second fastest, meaning the top 3 are covered by 17 milliseconds. It's ramping up, Luke. It's ramping up quite quickly. It looks like one of the Red Bulls is about to come across the line and actually dive into pit lane. Both Red Bulls still yet to set lap times. Still 7.5 minutes to go in the session, but I think the alarm bells are starting to go off. It looks like Miles is on. It looks like he has gone fastest in the middle sector. A little lock up there heading into the Audi S. Ooh, big snap of oversteer into the wall as well. Goes DXT Miles, and that lap will certainly be abandoned, as most of his front wing has also been abandoned at the exit of turn 12 as well. So it's that corner right there that can really make or break a lap, can't it? And also apparently break some wings as well.
Yeah, definitely. We mentioned this last week. I'm never a fan of putting your quickest laps in late. I mean, obviously, your fastest laps are going to be the last lap, sorry, but you know, I'm always a fan of trying to get as many laps in as possible, because if you make a mistake like that and lose your front lap, then that's your qualifying over. You're better off getting a good marker and build from that, rather than having all your hopes resting on your final lap.
Well, Ryan 97 is not resting on any final laps. He's improved his lap time by just about a 1/10 of a second. So, DJ Danny, as you pointed out before, he's on to the soft tires. He's done his fastest lap of 108.8 on the soft tires, and it looks like he's going to go out for one more soft run, so maybe just getting a feel for the track on the mediums, which we know is going to be a very good race tire. It does feel very good around here, just in terms of grip and not losing too much time. It doesn't look like anybody is going to go that route, as we're here with F1 Gravity coming around the final corner now. Looks like he is sticking to the inside to set his lap and goes fastest, so he's going to jump Ryan 97 for pole position by about 0.03 of a second. So the AlphaTauri making huge progress in this qualifying session of 108.738. Again, the top 5 covered by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, that's a great lap from Gravity. You sort of come from nowhere and jumps up to the top. It's note how the top close. Well, that's going to be very exciting. On the next 3 minutes or so, you're going to see the drivers come out for their final quick laps. So it'll be interesting to see if they all sort of stay that close. I mean, be that close at the moment is quite a surprise, but yeah, that's going to be interesting to see towards the later stages of qualifying. But no, it's really interesting to see who's going to come out on top.
How late do you think a driver should leave it to come out? Because you would expect really that top 5 to at least try another lap. DJ Danny out on track on his out lap. We're on board with Matt Swainus, yet to set a time. DXT Miles, his teammate for tonight, yet to set a time, along with Darnell in the McLarens. 3 drivers have yet to set times. But Matt Swainus is trying to change that for Red Bull and just work his way into that top 10. It would be a good performance from the normally F2 driver stepping in tonight to get some points on the board in F1, and he's going to come across the line and go 8th fastest, a 1:10.1, so a respectable lap time from the Red Bull. DJ Danny looks to be on a lap as well. There's DJ Danny coming through the middle sector now. DRS wide open on that round. Fastest middle sector from him, down to second gear, 60 miles an hour, maintaining that minimum apex speed, which through that corner is going to be all important. Can he keep it together? Yes, he can. It's so easy to wide through the penultimate corner, as is to collect that wall at the final corner. DJ Danny, second fastest for him. He's 2 milliseconds off of F1 gravity so far, with just now under 3 minutes. I don't know about you, Luke, but I don't think DJ Danny's getting in for another lap.
No, I'll be surprised if he goes for it. But it's just 2 milliseconds there. It's going to make up for a great race. Their race pace is as close as the qualifying pace is. It's going to be so close. It's a safety car, which we've not unheard of at the moment this season. It's going to really shake things up, and I'm sure the top 5 or even, top 5, I'm sure that's going to be so close. All it takes is one driver to make a mistake and crash out, and that's really going to change things in this race.
Well, last week's race winner, who is yet to set a time, DXT Miles, is really going to want to push it here, maybe pushing a little bit too hard, locking that left front again. Up through 6 gears, he comes through the windy section that is the end of the first sector. Down into 6th gear, you can really pin the throttle through that little nice right hand. As Miles coming through now into the middle sector. You can see now Mercury and Liverpool Ewan on outlaps as well. Ryan comes out again. So I don't see a Mercedes trundling down the pit lane. Hold that thought. Miles, fastest middle sector in the Honda-powered Red Bull. Can he keep it together through his final 2 corners? Down to 5th gear. He holds it just through the penultimate corner. Now coming through the final corner up into 8th gear. What can Miles set? 3rd fastest for the Red Bull.
Let's get that.
108.7. 5.5 from him.
Yeah, Miles has proved me wrong there. I've said it all through this session that you can't really leave it too late. If you make a mistake, then you're in trouble. But he's proved me wrong, and he's got 3rd, and that's not bad from him. That's really good. He's only done 1 proper lap. So, no, if he can stay in that mix, that's a good result for him.
We'll be looking to repeat last week's results. Another maximum points for him would be probably well appreciated. He's on board Jamie Roddy now. The Renault driver, only a 111.5. He's going to really look to improve on that. As he comes through Sector 1, he's about matched his Sector 1 time up through down into 3rd gear as he comes through the long right-hander. Looking up down into 2nd gear. He normally hold 3rd gear, but he's gone down into 2nd, trying to look for that extra rotation. DRS wide open, hard braking. Now he's still matching his previous lap times. Might not work out for the Renault, and he might lose out here. DJ Danny is satisfied with his 108.7. Final corner, pins it to the outside. Miles is retired. He's happy with his lap time as well. Jamie Roddy will improve by 3/10 in the final sector, but it still sees him 11th fastest. Darnell, 116.6 from him. And actually, the lead McLaren is Liverpool Ewan, so he's validated his lap, so he won't improve. And he will dive back into the pit lane. So, Liverpool Ewan, so far, is going to be starting. Could his teammate potentially have something to say about that? Looks like now, looks like it might be F1 Gravity, who does not improve on his time, but still holds provisional pole, which means Ryan 97 is going to back out of this lap. He's happy with his 108.770 in 4th position. So F1 Gravity is going to take pole position, but it's an interesting call from Ryan not to complete that lap. It didn't look like he invalidated it. It was just looking back down.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I was expecting him to have really pushed it and try and get into the top 3 places. But no, he's backed out. I'm not quite sure why he's done that, because it's not much point backing out if you're not top of the grid. So from that, it'll be interesting to see what his opinions are on that. But F1 Gravity's finished first. That's a fantastic result from him. I mentioned earlier, he's sort of come from nowhere to sort of take the lead of this session, and now he's going to start on pole. Really good opportunity for him to win this race, unless Jewel can have a great start. He's finished down in 9th. Ryan 97, he's going to want to build on that and try and get into the podium places. But no, really well done from F1 Gravity there.
Well, here is the great F1 Gravity taking his maiden pole by 2 milliseconds here in the Netherlands. DJ Danny joined alongside him. DXT Miles and Ryan 97 make up the second row, and Ryan 97, who backed out of that lap, it was just that topic of discussion. Mercury and Ewan will make up the third row. Matty Banter and St. Kuziatu joined late in the session, managed to get P8, which relegated Jewel down to 9th place, who crashed out in qualifying. He's joined by Matt Swainus on the 5th row. Faramoto and Jamie Roddy just outside the top 10, so they will have free tire choice alongside Darnell, who was, well, about 5 seconds off of 12th place Jamie Roddy, so he will start at the back. Those outside the top 10, Faramoto, Jamie Roddy, and Darnell, do you think they go on the mediums?
Well, I'm just having a look here, and Darnell was going to start on the mediums. Jamie Rowdy isn't, and either is Fairmoto there. So, yeah, there's only one driver starting on the mediums. We'll be interested to see how that sort of changes things, to see if he can really launch himself into the midfield. Darnell, we've seen him that he really can have good races. He's sort of had a poor qualifying so far this season. I'm not sure what really happened on his lap. He got 1 minute 16, well off the pace. But no, he started on mediums. We'll see if he can push himself through the grid and into a midfield place, especially with all the early pit stops, which I'm sure will happen.
Well, any wind of a safety car, I think, would change most people's strategy, because soft tires, they could go for quite some ways. 12 laps is kind of what we're expecting on the soft tires. However, it's going to be kind of a stretch to make those a competitive tire 12 laps in. The hards might be called upon somewhat early, and probably much earlier than a few drivers would rather take them.
Yeah, I'm just looking again at Darnell's changed his mind. He's going to start on the hards, and Jamie Rowdy's going to start on the mediums, and so is Fairmoto on the mediums. So all of the people not finishing outside the top 10 are going to start, well, not on the soft tire, on either a medium or a hard. So that's really going to change things. Like I said before, see if they can launch themselves into the midfield. But like you mentioned earlier, safety car is, well, it's not out of the question. We've already seen spins and crashes so far in qualifying. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. An early safety car could really change things here.
Well, an early safety car would really benefit those outside the top 10 on the alternate strategies, particularly anyone on the hard tires, because they can really drag those hards through and longer into the stint, so that when they go onto the softs, they'll be nice, light, and almost be a qualifying pace, probably on the soft tire at the end of the race.
Yeah, well, those on the soft are really going to have to push, because from the start, we've seen it so many times where someone's, turned the car around on the first corner and they're at the back of the grid. But those soft tyres are really going to have to sort of laugh, well, who could ever control them the most, and whoever comes in sort of last onto a medium or a hard tyre, of course they do have to go onto a medium or hard, whereas the other drivers on the alternate strategy can go onto the soft. So that can change things later on in the race. But no, the soft tyres are, in my opinion, the better starting on this track, but we'll have to see.
Could we potentially see any of the two-stop strategies? I think we might be able to see. DJ Danny always throws us a curveball with his strategy. I think if anybody is going to go on the two-stop strategy, it'll probably be him. And formation lap from F1 Gravities, not helping his cause already here in this race. But do you think that the two-stop could work and could really pay dividends for someone like DJ Danny, who could potentially match F1 Gravity for pace, it could be difficult getting around him.
Well, yeah, of course, if you start on the softs, which most of the drivers are, then do another soft tyre, of course, the freshest softs, ones you're qualifying in, so they'll be completely fresh, really pick up some lap time, really gain conditions or gain places or gain time or anything. So, yeah, two sort of can be done, especially if you're predicting a safety car or something like that. So, that'll be interesting to see, especially DJ Danny, of course, you said. Was that crash there? What's happened there? Is that? Oh, no, that's just my game as usual. But no, it'll be interesting to see if DJ Danny or other drivers do auto crashing and try and do a two-stop.
Interesting to see what the drivers come up with. All drivers inside the top 10, starting on the soft tire Ferramoto and on the medium Darnell, going for the hard. So we could definitely have a strategic game being played very, very late on in this race as the drivers come back to the grid. All 13 lining up there, waiting for the lights to come on. They're hoping that they got their brakes and their tires up to temperature. It's been a long, long time since we've been to the Netherlands. But it's 5 red lights, and away we go. The AlphaTauri gets a good start, but as does DJ Danny. He's already on the inside. It's AlphaTauri who's going to have the outside line, holding that first position. DJ Danny is going to have to tuck back in behind him, Renault, as they peel through turns 2, 3, and 4. We have a yellow flag already. A Red Bull has been spun around. Jewel has been relegated down to 12. Max Wayne is down to 13. The virtual safety car already deployed. It doesn't look like anybody inside the top 5 has really moved all that much. Sink Kuziatu has gotten all the way up to 6th place, so he's made up a couple positions already on the opening lap. And Mats are going to have to contend with the medium and the hard runners in front of them now with this virtual safety car out. Yeah, it's going to be very, very enticing to see how Matt plays a role in things, because now these soft tires could potentially go a little bit longer as the virtual safety car has been disabled. We're racing once more. It was a very, very turn 1 as we come around the final turn now to complete lap number 1. F1 Gravity still out in the way of DJ Danny. You can already see pushing in that round. Is he going to have a look down the inside? He's still a little bit too far back. We're going to be locking up ever so slightly into turn 1. Jewel into the pit lane, so presumably wind damage for the Mercedes. That's not a good start because he had to really getting on the back of the Alfa Romeo in front of him. Ryan 97 is going to get also on the back of the Red Bull in front of him. You can see this is Miles following the 2 in front. See Mercedes there, following the 4 in front. Jewel and Mats into the pit lane. Jewel onto the hard tire. I don't think he's going to get to the end. He's probably going to have to stop one more time, but he could potentially throw a wrench in some plans. As they stand, he's 26 seconds behind.
Yeah, I was looking at Jules from the start. He completely lost his front wing before he went into the pit. So, yeah, definitely pit stop was coming on the first lap for him. Same with Matt Wilness as well. He didn't have as much damage as Jules, but he obviously had something which triggered him to go into the pits and change of tyres and change of wing as well. Not a good start from those two, especially Jules, who's going to want to build on what he did on the first race. Finished P1 and now he's 12, which is 1 place on the back. So yeah, that's a shame for him. But really so close at the moment, unbelievably close. Hopefully it stays like this.
We're on board now with the Mercedes of Ryan 97 hunting down Miles in front of us. A little bit of understeer heading through that turn as they go around this big swooping long right-hander. Double right-hander at the end of the day. Front 4. All covered by a second and a half. Gap from 8th Paddy Banter to Ferramoto already 3.5 seconds. So those on the mediums falling behind those on the softs. They're going to have to play the waiting game and be patient with their strategy to make things work as we come around long banked right-hander. Complete lap number 3. Right 97 might be having a look here at Red Bull. You can see the Mercedes just tucking in there. Still tucking in there. Is Miles going to defend? Yes, he is. Right 97 going to try and tee him up around the outside that time around. And now Mercedes did just claim fastest lap of the race. Big lock up there from the Red Bull of DXT Miles. That will certainly invite Ryan 97 to get past, but how is he going to get past through this nice little tight windy section? Here they go. Still no way past for Ryan 97. F1 Gravity can't really get away from DJ Danny. DRS is enabled as well, so gonna have a little bit of a hard time getting past, or rather defending from the Renault behind.
Yeah, I was just looking at Ryan 97 there as he tries and overtakes Miles, and I was just thinking it's not the easiest track to overtake. I mean, it's certainly not impossible, especially down the pitch straight, but it's not the easiest to overtake. But it is possible. Ryan 97 is going to try again. He has the DRX train going. Ryan 97 is going to try again around the outside, but Miles is covering him quite well. It's just a battle between third and fourth there.
Third and fourth is still going to rage on. Another big lockout from DXT Miles. Ryan almost running straight into the back of the Red Bull. Side by side through here. That would be some move. Do it this time around in that 7th gear. There's Ryan 97 into the long right-hander they go. On lap number 5 here. We already had a virtual safety car which relegated Jewel and Mats to the back of the field, forced them onto an alternate strategy that they probably would have liked. One Mercedes battling for podium positions, the other 20.6 seconds adrift. The rest of the through the Audi S now. Big walk-ups again there. There's just not enough braking power in some of these cars. Drivers like it. It's causing, for sure, a bit of overheating on these tires. It's like the gap between Miles and Ryan is getting closer and closer. He's going to have a little look. He's going to try this time around. Miles, courtesy of DRS in front of Gravity, as DJ Danny has assumed the lead of the race. And looking up again there, it's DJ Danny who's been able to take care of those tires, avoid the lockups, heading into that turn 4. And he's already pulled out half a second now on F1 Gravity. And that Renault is going to do everything he can to scamper away from the rest of the field here on lap number 6.
Yeah, we mentioned overheating and tires, especially those on the softs. It's going to really affect them to maybe pit earlier than they really have to or should do. But lots of lockups. We mentioned it before in the qualifying section. That drivers are going to be pushing to the limits in qualifying, but not so much in the race. But lots of lockouts. Literally, the track famous for lockouts. But yeah, so literally every corner you see someone locking up at some point. But no, yeah, those on the softs and have to be careful here. They get really cool. They're going to have to do an early pit stop, and that could really affect them and even push them onto an alternate strategy. Talking about the alternate strategy, they're sort of, yeah, it's not the great position that Stuttgart valuable has found themselves in, but they can just manage their tyres, sort of keep up the pace, always slowly gaining, especially with this sort of DRS train that's slowing everyone down, the braking. But yeah, Jules probably, I wouldn't count him out of this race, but he's certainly going to go on to win it, but yeah, definitely push himself into the points if he keep managing this car as well.
Running ever so slightly wide there. You wonder about overheating. Following all these cars is not any sort of cooling up the brakes. And we mentioned the gap from Jewel to the rest of the pack before. It was 26 seconds. That's down to 14. So he's made up loads of time already. And because we're in this sort of holding pattern on lap number 7, it's really brought him right back into the conversation here. Probably, if we stay this way for the next arrive on the back of the Junior Roddy here, 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to see Jewel push up. Of course, he's gained nearly a second a lap on the position in front of him. So yeah, he couldn't happy with that. He's going to continue his pace, and he's definitely going to be up there in a few laps' time. So of course, there is a big gap between Darnell and the rest of the which are following each other very closely. But he can catch up to someone, and he can sort of use them as a sort of slingshot to sort of push him on, especially with the DRS could be catching at the right point. So yeah, like you mentioned, certainly don't count him out at the moment.
You wonder when Ryan 97 is going to have to pull the trigger and get past at some point, because he is losing time behind the Red Bull of Miles, who I think for probably the 4th or 5th lap running locked up into turn 4, and the Mercedes just gained so much time through that little S section, but he can't get past. He has no way to get past, and he's getting so much time through there that now he's coming under attack. Is that a Mercedes? And is that the Mercedes of Jewel that has gone off? It's not good. That is a frustrated Mercedes driver who has somehow lost it at the entry with that long right-hander, and is going quite slowly indeed. You'd imagine those tires are probably molten at the moment due to that, and it looks like his teammate is trying to now get the move done again. He's gaining so much time through that little windy section at the end of the first sector, but he has no way past. He has absolutely no way to get past the Red Bull.
He's tried everything. We've seen Miles lock up on multiple occasions, and Ryan 97's pushing him through corners, but still can't find a way through, and he's going to be getting more and more frustrated as the laps go by. He's quite a big curve there. Continues on the back of Miles, but no, he's going to be sweating in the cockpit. He's going to really want to get past Miles, try and catch up to gravity, and 1 2 miles ahead. So yeah, Ryan is going to be very frustrated. He's got DRS again, but that's not going to make too much difference. It's that whole train is DRS, but no, he's going to be very frustrated at the moment. He's going to try and get Miles. Is he going to be slowed down by his teammate? He isn't, so that's going to benefit him. The car's behind him, but I'm just interested to see that as both cars are waiting for each other. Miles is still pushing on Miles. Ryan 97 is still pushing on Miles. Hopefully he goes to soon.
Liverpool Ewan has tried to do something different. He's gone on to another set of softs, has the McLaren, and he's going to try and free himself from this DRS train, and that could potentially begin to trigger all these pit stops. Now, there's a lap car, but he's pitted now twice. He's gone on to a fresh set of medium tires. The problem, blue flags for everyone behind him. He's going to have to potentially get out of the way at some point because he's not lapping fast enough to really clear the rest of the field. I think we could potentially begin to see a few pit stops. There goes the Red Bull, there goes the Mercedes of Miles and Ryan. Lock up heading into the pit lane. Now, Darnell is going to be in a very, very good position to potentially overtake Miles and Ryan in the pit lane. It looks like he is going to do so by some distance indeed. So the call to go on the hard tires in the McLaren. Big snap of oversteer there. Seems to have worked out. Hard compound tires for Miles and Ryan, I think, as we expected.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier that those who are starting on the mediums cars are going to sort of have a boost when the pit stops come in. Of course, people in front of Darnell still haven't pitted yet, so he's still going to gain more positions. But be interested to see how long those hard tires will last. We can push him, well, another 5, 6, 7, 8 laps. He's definitely going to be in a great shot. I'm sure he'll go on to the mediums, or I'd be very surprised if he goes on to the softs, but no, the most likely. And if he can do that, he can really sort of gain a good amount of points in sticking that midfield.
Yeah, Danny into the pit lane, as is F1 Gravity, because Yatu has stayed out. So he he assumes the lead of the race for now. Any banter either. He's let his teammate Mercury head into the pit lane and fit the hard compound tire. So that seems to be the tire of choice, not the medium, the hard. So plenty of drivers electing for the one-stop strategy and showing a track position that is definitely prevailing over anything else.
Yeah, obviously, putting in fast sector 3's got so much catching up. The positive from him is he's put in a very fast sector. That's like I just said, he's got leaps and bounds yet to him. He's got a lap himself. I don't know if he's already done that. Everyone's coming to the pit lane, but I'd be surprised if we see Jewel much higher than he is at the moment. But looking further on, having more pit stops as Darnell is now up into third. We mentioned that earlier. That's he'll be launching himself as he's on the hard compound. He is getting time deducted as he's Danny, Gravity and Miles all gaining on him. That sort of train of cars still sort of together. Not really sure how that's going to sort of plateau as they don't stick so close to that DRS train. It's sort of this DRS a bit pointless as they're all so close together and all got DRS, but makes for interesting racing. But you haven't really seen many open overtakes so far, and that is probably caused by the amount of DRS train that we have. Really much sort of cause for it, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, the gap from Darnell and DJ Danny was 2.4 seconds. That has been completely diminished now. Under a second is the Renault behind the McLaren, and the strategy, he's going to have to play roadblock, Darnell, to make this work. And potentially, should he play roadblock, he could help out his gear. He's gone onto a soft compound tire, so he's going for the two-stop in the other McLaren. But he could make that work. If he backs up the pack, it's going to make Hewitt's job a little bit easier to try and get past everyone else who's gone on to the much slower, harder tire than himself on the soft.
Yeah, he's done 12 laps so far. He's not really looking in the pits at the moment, but here comes Dan looking for an overtake. He's going around the outside. Darnell covering him off quite well, but he's still looking for the outside. Danny manages to keep hold of him, but he's still got his wing in there, but no, he's not going to pay off that time. But Darnell, like you said, try and help his team out as much as he can. Darnell's going to get that pit in his mind, but maybe he's going much longer. It's definitely going to help him out.
With side by side there, it looks like the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo just for a moment through that S section, which Ryan 97 couldn't get the move done on Miles, tried to get it done on Mercury. Didn't happen in the end, but they will still fight this one out here through the middle sector. As you can see there, Mercedes trying to get a little nick of the curb. Ryan getting this move done, heading into the Audi S. Can't Mercury walking up in front of him. Here we go again, holding pattern for what seems like is going to be made. If DJ Danny can get past the McLaren in his race, it looks like he's going to be on track to do so this time. To the outside line goes DJ Danny for the lead of the race once more. DJ Danny has that move done. The run up into first place. DJ Danny is going to thank Darnell now because he can be a roadblock for him to pull up the rest of the pack. He's already cleared nearly 7/10 of a second to McLaren behind him, blasting away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, like I just said, it's really going to benefit him now. Darnell is going to be pretty smart with Gravity. Hopefully Gravity, well, he'll be hoping that he can get past maybe the next pit straight. It's not the easiest to overtake on this track. This is lots of corners quickly coming up. Almost a spin there from Darnell, and that's a bad one. That one as he spun. When he's down into 8, that's unfortunate. That roadblock's not really worked out for him.
Well, the roadblock has spun off the road, and everyone that has made their pit stop is now free to proceed. And everyone ground is going to be saying thank you very much, because he's already 1.4 seconds behind, which means he's going to be be the driver really under attack. Everyone else is going to have DRS. Except him, because DJ Danny is 1.5 seconds up the road. See Darnell into the pit lane here. Battle coming on for fourth. Seems to be heating up lap by lap because Mercury and Ewan are really having a nice little look at the Mercedes as again Miles lining up in the turn before it, and that could really prove to be an invitation for the Mercedes to get past. Yellow flag. Once again, is that Jewel who has just had a moment heading through the middle sector. Looks like it is. Haul over that Red Bull gearbox. He has to find a way past if he's gonna make his race. If he's gonna make his race worse, I cannot imagine the frustration. He's gonna go for it here. Ryan 97 taking the outside line, getting pushed onto the grass, and around goes the Red Bull of Miles. That was a battle that, well, it got a little bit too cagey between the two. Ryan 97 needed to get past. Miles was not going to let that happen. Both came together and ended up with Miles spinning off into
Yeah, so that's sort of unfortunate. I wanted to see a grand overtake there. Really, it was sort of heating up for one as Jill was retired. I'm not surprised, but yeah, that's unfortunate. Miles was just hanging on in there. He's dropped well back now. Miles was getting impatient. He must be overtaking up the rim and didn't come off. But unlucky for Miles as he's dropped back down to 8.
He's going to have plenty of time to make up. He does have the Alfa Romeo of Matty Banter in front of him to try and get some DRS, and maybe they could work together to try to get themselves onto the back of what was the DRS train is now starting to spread out a little bit. F1 Gravity is trying to change that narrative and get just within a second of the Renault of DJ Danny. F1 Gravity really starting to come to life here early on in this stint. That gap was 1.6 seconds, now just under 1 second. The gap from the Renault to the Alpha Tower.
Yeah, it's just going to be heating up. After this DRS train lasted the whole 18 laps here. It's been quite a prospect to see, but we've seen sort of one driver sort of go away like Mark did. One driver crashes, then he's right at the back. So that Joe wasn't in that train, but Joe was now. Each lap, it seems little gaps. Other drivers trying to Mark. It's interesting to see what the drivers think about that. If it was fair, I didn't really get a good look at it myself. Ryan, very frustrated, did force his way around. But the DRS train is still continuing, and we'll see if that can affect anything towards the end of the race.
Starting to spread out ever so slightly. F1 Gravity is trying to gravitate his way under a second to the Renault in front of him. He has achieved that, but can he hold it through the penultimate corner because the section zone isn't until right about here. It looks like he is going to have DRS this time around, so the Alpha Tower is going to get pulled even closer to the Renault in front. Out of the final corner. Now 6 tenths, now 5 tenths is that gap. This could be a very, very enticing battle. Ryan 97 setting the fastest lap from third position. Is this going to be like a situation where you're walking up again into turn 4, much like Miles? Look who's about to pounce on that once more. Ryan 97 pouncing on a walk up on turn 4. I can't imagine where we've seen that before. But could this be, Luke, where leading the race isn't really the best place to be? Oh, that's wing damage for Ryan 97. Something flew off that front wing. It looks like a left end plate there for the Mercedes has flown off. I don't know if Ryan just got right into lack of gravity, but somehow, some way, a bit of carbon fiber went flying off of that black Mercedes. And Mercedes just can't catch a break at the moment. Between damage, between spinning off, between colliding with other drivers, it's not going really the way they would have hoped. And you would imagine, because he's already lost about 3 tenths, he's not going to peel into the pit lane this time around. And he's going to try to stick this one out. He does have DRS still on gravity in front of him. That battle now for third is going to entice Mercury and Ewan once more. Lap number 20, so 16 laps to go. Still have absolutely no idea who the winners will be. Like I was saying before, I don't think first place is really the good place to be at the moment.
No, definitely not. He's the only one out of the top 7, top 6 really, that don't have DRS. He's only, well, you think he's going to be affected by that, but he's still out in first at the moment. He's sort of holding the pace, but Ryan, like I said, a lot of pressure on Mercury. Quite fair, but we surprised not to see him going to the pits. As you said, he's going to try and hold this one out, but I'm surprised that it didn't take him down there, but well, saying that, we did see him get miles over on in the race in the third corner. He's definitely got right in the gearbox of nearly every driver as he comes through a corner, but I think he's going to pitch now. He's going to pitch.
That's Mercury, who is really getting held up behind him, and, well, salt to the wound, because it's a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane for Ryan 97, who's going to go on to the medium tire to try and see this one out, so it's just not going Mercedes' way today at all.
No, not at all. I mentioned it earlier that Ryan has had quite a good qualifying, and it's bad luck gets him in the races. We saw it last week, but with the safety cars not playing his way, and the first race, I think he spun in the first lap. Now this time he's sort of taken wing damage. Really wasn't his fault as lock-up. Okay, it's been very, very unlucky in the first few races. He's got a lot of catching up to do, but we'll see if he can. He doesn't have a pit stop now. It'll be interesting to see if the others in front of him do pit stop. I think they will. But Ryan has got fresh air now, which he's not really used to in this race. We'll see if that can really launch him forward as he tries and gains on Miles, who really slowed him up. But a long way to go in this race, so Ryan could catch up, but he's really going to have to push hard.
Well, I was about to, you're watching the battle for fourth. Until Ewan peels into the pit lane to get his second set of soft tires, medium tires, on the McLaren. He rejoined the track. I think it's another time penalty, so just when it rains, it pours. Mercedes, as the McLaren peels out of the pit lane, he will rejoin in 7th place. That DRS train has now somewhat been eliminated by strategy, because it's just these two at the front, at the sharp end of the race. DJ, Danny, F1, Gravity within 7/10 of a second of each other. Strategy, we could see in the next 14 laps. A very, very cagey finish, because both of these drivers, as we know, don't mind getting their elbows out to take place, defend the place. So it can be very, very entertaining at the end of this race.
Yeah, definitely a fight. It's definitely between DJ, Danny and F1 Gravity at the moment. It's going to stay like that until the end of the race. We can see a crash or spin. Well, who knows? We've seen nearly everything in this race so far. But I was going to ask you, Grafter, who do you think has been the most consistent team so far this season? Because Alfa Romeo, we've mentioned them a few times, have always stayed out the limelight, but always seem to have been together in a good position.
Somewhat unfortunate performance at France. They managed to rescue 10 points for their team. That's Ryan 97, fastest lap of 1:11.2. So you can see Mercedes in clear air, who's already just about caught up to the back of the pack in 8th position. Is absolutely flying out there on the medium tires. But Alfa Romeo 7 points last week. They've been consistent. No podiums yet for either driver, but they're always in and about minor places, and it seems like they could really ruffle some feathers at times if they continue these and continue at the top to go the way that they are, with Mercedes not being able to buy lock. Red Bull in a position where they probably didn't expect to be either. Racing just well down the only problem they're going to have is Renault is about as consistent as theirs. This Renault that we're watching here, DJ Danny, is going to have to really start defending from F1 Gravity, who's now under half a second behind as he comes through to the end of the first sector. I think Gravity just stands pat for a little bit and bides his time, just saves his ERS for the final laps of the race, so that he can just use DRS and milk the ERS of Danny in front, and really just put that pressure on at the end of the race. Because that fantastic strategic call from him, should he elect to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely an option, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's going through his head. But I've watched him for a few laps, or quarters now, I should say. But and he's knocked it up a few times, so he's certainly pushing to try and stay in that DRS range. He wouldn't look at him otherwise, but yeah, I think he's definitely out of 10. He's trying to save as much ERS as he can to try and use it. He's locked some there into third corner, as sort of nearly every driver has done so far. But no, he's definitely pushing to try and stay with Danny. As Danny is sort of leaving him behind there in that first sector. Yeah, so I think Gravity definitely saving ERS, but still trying to push to try and stay with Danny.
Ziatu is trying to get onto the back of the Alfa Romeo in front of him. Much higher chance, I would say, of getting past the Alfa Romeo than the AlphaTauri, getting past the Renault front as of now. Jakob heading into chicane here. This is the battle for third place under 7/10 of a second. You see Mercury collecting a little bit of dirt on those front tires. That's not going to help his cause. Stages of this race, DJ Danny. Gravity back out front once more as Gravity setting the fastest final sector. So that's where the AlphaTauri has been best all day. He's losing out a little bit in the first sector. As you mentioned, another lockup from the AlphaTauri. We should start playing bingo with the amount of lockups. Just mark off all the teams that have had lockups heading into turn 4. I think every single space would probably be blotted out by now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we would shout a bingo by now, because I think every team is locked up at some point. I mean, well, I think every driver's locking up at some point during the lap. Every time I see it in turn 3, I just see a puff of smoke just go up into the air. Some drivers slowing down, so yeah, it's not. Well, we mentioned it earlier in qualifying that there's going to be lots of lockups, but I didn't really expect to see nearly every corner. I suppose that could be down to a lot of reasons. I mean, it is a corner-based track, but of course this is a new track to this year's game, so not as much practice on this track. But yeah, that's something we'll have to ask the driver to the end.
Well, that's another spinner there. Is that potentially Liverpool Ewan in the middle sector? No, that's his teammate Darnell spinning for another time in this race. He's still in P9, which could get him actually quite a few. Could really just get him even more on the board than he already is. 3 points to his name that he collected in France, which is again probably another poor weekend for his standards. But he managed to get points out of it, which is sometimes what you need to do: turn a bad weekend into at the end of the race.
Yeah, considering he spun a few times, and he started on an alternate strategy and started very low after P9, he'll be extremely happy with that. He's got no one in front of him, no one behind him. He's sort of relaxed now. There's no need to really push. All we have to do is stay calm, and he's guaranteed a P9. So, yeah, me personally, I'd definitely take that considering he spun and had a poor qualifying. But yeah, who knows? He might be a bit higher, but how this race has gone, I'm sure he's happy with that.
This could be a bit of a push here. The Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo heading through turn 1, trying to keep it to the outside. He couldn't quite get around the outside of the Alfa Romeo that time. Good defending from Mercury on that occasion, but we've got under 10 laps to go. Ferrari have to really get a move on to try to get past the Alfa Romeo, as is F1 Gravity, to get past DJ Denny. Because that gap is just really holding steady at the moment. It's not really closing up. It's not really fading back. He's probably going to hope that DJ Danny's chewed up his tires and his ERS and really having to push to stick with gravity and not get overtaken courtesy of the drag reduction system. You can see here, gap's still about 0.6 of a second. I wonder if gravity could have made up a little bit more time, because he is seemingly faster through the finals. Look like that time around 0.7 of a second is the gap between the Renault and the Alpha Tauri, as we are currently on lap 29, so just a few more to go. And is that the battle for 30s? It's Kvyatko trying to get that move done around the outside once more. A carbon copy of last lap, that time around. Big lock up there from 1:11.0 is now the fastest lap that Ryan 97 will keep hold of down in 8th place, and he might be looking to have a little go at P7 with Liverpool Ewan here later in the race. That gap 1.5 seconds between the McLaren and the Mercedes, so that could be somewhat of a note to add just another detail in this race. But his top four have basically been going at it the whole entire race. Another lock up there from Mercury heading into the Audi S. Keeping on that curve ever so slightly. You don't want to get on that inside curve because it is extremely easy to spin out, and it seems like Kvyatko is a little bit closer this time around and might look to have another go. It's going to be a little bit too far back. Will he send it? No. It's going 5 moves, not too. A little go there. He's definitely closer to the Alfa Romeo. He smells it. Is that Miles getting past Matty Banter? It looks like Matty Banter's had a moment. Liverpool Ewan up into 6th place. He's fallen down to 7th. As the Alfa Romeo on 16-lap old hard tires. Just jumping on the power too early. The Alfa Romeo, he was spinning around ever so slightly. And his older hard tires any good.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him. Well, I mentioned it in my track report early on that I want to stay off the curve of that first corner. But all the curves here are pretty dangerous. Who's gone around there? Is that Darnell? Yeah, it's Darnell. He's lost his wing, and yeah, that's got to be. Well, he was in 9, and I said he's got to stay calm, and he's got it. But well, he's going to have to pit now. His front wing looks pretty damaged, so I'm sure Fairmoto's going to. Oh, he's lost. Yeah, he's gone there. Oh, he's lost. He lost everything there.
He's lost everything there. Virtual safety car is out. So that is really going to help out DJ Denny, who was slightly lacking for energy at the sharp end of this race, and he's be able to recover some of that courtesy of the energy recovery system, and really help his battle here for the final 5 laps. Matty Banter into the pit lane, onto the soft tires, presumably, to try and go for that fastest lap. He's got plenty of time to do it behind him. If it's Fairmoto, he's almost 50 seconds behind him, so plenty of space for him to get that pit stop in and get that lap done, and then we'll potentially see out the final 5 laps of this race on the soft tire. Battle for 6th that we saw potentially creeping up in the later stages of this race is now taking shape. Liverpool Ewan and Ryan 97. This is for 6th place. Ryan 97 had that moment earlier on in the race, losing his wing, had to pit once more. So he's going to do everything he can to try to salvage a few more points. But the battle for 3rd place is heating up once more. It's into turn 1. Mercury locking up, trying to do everything he can to get that Alfa Romeo stopped in time to head through. Again, another lock. You'd think they'd have it figured out by now, but apparently not. With 4 laps to go here in this 36-lap race. Ryan 97 has gotten past Liverpool Ewan. That is for 6th place, so a little bit of amends for Mercedes, who probably isn't going to be able to jump on the back of Miles, but most certainly probably like to do so. He might be able to get there. 4.3 seconds, 4.4 seconds is the gap between the Red Bull and the Mercedes.
Yeah, I was watching Ryan there as he overtook Liverpool Ewan. He got a purple third sector around the outside of turn 1. Really good overtake, really close to Liverpool Ewan and Ryan 97, but he got the job done now. He's pushed away from Liverpool Ewan. But I was about to mention this. There's only a Sink's gone around there. It's still close there. Sink's done it, I think. Sink's done it.
They're going to battle that one out. He does look like he has the move done. There's still wheel to wheel, heading through into one left-hander. This time, it's the Ferrari that locks up, but he's got the move done. Kuziatu has come all the way from 9th place up into 3rd. And now it holds podium position for Ferrari. It will be their first podium of the season as well. If they can hold on to that and keep the Alfa Romeo at bay, he'll be really delighted with that result. But now that means back at the front. 3 laps to go, Luke. If you're F1 Gravity, when do you pull the trigger and say, right, we need to go all out now?
Well, he's been saving the time, so you got to think that he's still just waiting for that right moment. One mistake from DJ Danny and Gravity's right at the back of him now, but is he going to make the move? No, he's not. So another lap, he's going to be stuck behind that Renault. Yeah, well, there's only a few laps left. He's going to want to, because he locks up there, but he's definitely going to want to get around as soon as possible, because these two are so closely matched. It's going to battle from start to finish, these two really. But if I was around to go to pull it now, get it over and done with, but I'm sure that's not as easy as it sounds.
This battle for 3rd place has resumed once more, and this time it's Mercury trying to get past the Ferrari of Kuziatu. Doesn't look like it's gonna happen because all those lockups are starting to probably come back to bite the Alfa Romeo. Those tires being ever so slightly more worn, and the Ferrari in front of him approach lap number 35. Coming around into the corner for what would be the 34th time. F1 Gravity. He is getting a move on. Here comes F1 Gravity. He's potentially send it into turn 1. He is going to send it into turn 1. F1 Gravity has the inside line for the lead. Renault's going to hold on around the outside. DJ Denny hanging on the first position by Total Life as they head into turn for another lockup from the Alpha Tower. He's really pushing now. Big snap closed here as he's really trying to get that throttle down. F1 Gravity falling ever so slightly behind DJ Denny, who still leads this race. How much longer? F1 Gravity climbing all over the back of him, using that ERS that he saved up all through this finals. He's been coasting behind DJ Denny, using DRS to stay in touch and stay a threat to the Renault in front of him. Now is coming to a climax here in the final 2 laps.
Yeah, and I was just watching that Matthew Wilness and Jamie Rowdy switching places there. They're going really close together, and we'll see if that really, well, I know Ghostin's on, but I'll see if that really affects DJ Daniel Gravity at all. I don't think it will. It'll be interesting to see if that plays anything into the final lap as they just about to start it. Is Gravity going to have another look? It'll be interesting to see. I'll let you take over this ball.
Gravity again, DRS wide open, DRS in full overtake. Can he have a look down the inside? Locks up heading into turn 1. DJ Danny to head onto the final lap, lap 36 of 36. If Gravity's going to get a move done, it's going to have to be this lap where he's going to have to settle for 2nd place. 3 tenths now is the gap. Overtake on once more for the Alpha Tower as he's chasing and pushing this Renault through the end of the first sector into the quick right-handers. Teammate gets out of the way. F1 Gravity still 3/10 of a second behind, now 4/10 of a second behind. He's got more worn tires, all those lockups for him now starting to come back and bite him at the end of the race. DRS for him is going to have one final look, and into this corner. Can F1 Gravity get close enough to have a little look at DJ Denny? DJ Denny is absolutely blistered down that DRS zone, and it does look like DJ Denny is going to hold on to win this race, and what a win it would be, because it would be an absolutely fantastic performance, and he is going to come around the final corner to win the Dutch Grand Prix. DJ Denny crosses the line. He wins here at Zandvoort. F1 Gravity very, very close behind him. St. Kuziatu and Mercury, they will cross the line 3rd and 4th. Miles is going to recover to come home in 5th place. Ryan 97 is going to finish in 6th. Plenty of penalties as well. Did the Mercedes. Liverpool Ewan is going to jump the Mercedes for 6th place due to all those penalties. And Banter spinning across the line. Finishing in 8th place. Fair moto for Ferrari. He's going to scoop up a couple points for the Scuderia as well. Coming through all the way. Still in the middle sector is the Ferrari. Not far back. Him and Max are going to finish 9th and 10th. Provided Ferrari doesn't have exuberant penalties to his name, but for the Ferrari, a good result for them. Kuziatu, it's his first podium of the season as well, so he will jump up into the top 5 of the standings once more. Moto coming across the line, followed by the Red Bull. That will do it. DJ Danny wins here in the Netherlands. Very, very tight race all the way to the finish. We had no idea, really, who was going to come out on top there, because he was just going to be able to. He stayed in like this holding pattern. Do you think he maybe just pulled the trigger a little too late?
Well, I don't know. We saw him 2 laps before the end that he was really pushing to try and get the overtake done. I'm sure he'd be a little bit disappointed that he didn't get the move done, but DJ Danny will be happy that he managed to hold on. It got very close towards the final few laps, but he did well to hang on there. And no, like I said, I'm sure he's happy with that.
Renault, they will presumably, if I can do quick math in my head, they will presumably jump back on top of the Constructors' Championship. So just like this time last season, when they were leading the Constructors, here they are once more. But they're hoping, unlike last season, they can hang on to it this time. But this time there's plenty more competitors to really have a go at them in confirmation of the results there. DJ Danny from 2nd place. His front 2 just ended up switching positions in the end. And you can see there, their fastest laps were almost identical. 1:11.7 from both of them, but it is Matty Banter that takes home the fastest lap from 8th position, a 1:10.6 for him. The Alfa Romeo is going to collect that extra point for the fastest lap. It's because he was in the top 10 in for Mercedes. It's what could have been a very good result this weekend has turned into somewhat of a mess.
Yeah, it certainly has. But we have the race winner here to talk to us. DJ Danny has won the Netherlands Grand Prix. DJ Danny, how do you think that went for you?
I think it went all right. It was obviously I had Gravity behind me, pressuring me the whole time, never letting off. And even though there wasn't a lot of on-track action in terms of side-by-side action, it's just that pressure behind of being half a second behind for 36 laps that meant that I had to make no mistakes. And yeah, it was a tough but good race.
And you mentioned F1 Gravity behind you there for the whole race. Were you ever in doubt of the win, or were you always confident that you could stay in front?
I was confident, but I know that Gravity is quick, so I knew that one moment of even just a slightly mistake and he would be passed. And I mean, I think with 4 or 5 laps to go, he nearly did get past when we had that side-by-side into turn 1. But I just held on. But the fact that he was able to stay within my DRS for the whole race just showed how quick both of us were, really. I mean, we were pulling away from everyone behind, and yeah, I think it could have gone either way if it wasn't for that early pass early in the race.
My final question, your first win of the season here. How do you think your full season's gone in these first 3 races?
Well, excluding the France penalty, I've finished on the podium in every race so far. So hopefully that trend can continue. I mean, it's good points on the board, and obviously people like Miles and Ryan behind didn't have the best of races, so it's kind of I've gained points there, but obviously I've got Mercury and Gravity and other drivers who can easily catch back up. So it's just about maintaining them results and getting good points every week.
Well, congratulations on the win today. I'm sure you can't really get any better than that, a win and holding off very well on F1 Gravity. So well done, DJ Danny. We hope to see you winning much more races later on in the future.
Cheers, thank you.
And now we have F1 Gravity. You finished P2. It was very close between himself and DJ Danny. F1 Gravity, how do you think that went for you?
It went alright, a bit frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. But, I mean, if I didn't get P1, P2 is the next best, I suppose.
Yeah, I was going to say you were stuck behind DJ Danny for the whole race there. We were talking, me and Scarata, through the whole race, said, when did you get to pull the trigger? And, well, you pulled the trigger multiple times, but just really couldn't seem to get around DJ Danny. Turn 1 seemed the best option. Were you looking at any other corners to try and make the overtake?
There's not really any other big overtaking opportunities unless the car ahead makes a mistake. And GG to Danny, he didn't make a single mistake throughout the entire race. So turn 1 was really the only option with the DRS.
Yeah, my final question for me. You seem to really stock up on ERS throughout the race. So was that your objective, just to try and use that in the final few laps to get past, or am I thinking of something completely different there?
No, there's not really much point in using like 10%, 5% ERS a lap. You really need a large amount in order to pull a convincing move on someone. But I think Danny had a lot of ERS saved up as well, so it proved a bit pointless.
Well, I said it was my final question, but this is my final question. How do you think your season's gone for you?
Well, I got a bit unlucky with France. I got some damage and then had to climb back through the field. I think I had the pace for maybe a podium there. And then Austria, it was wet, and I'm pretty bad in the wet, so I think I made the best out of that one. So it's been alright. I think if the majority of the season is dry, I can try and fight at the sharp end for most of it. That's the aim.
Well, we'll hope to see you. Well, we'll hope to see more battles with you and DJ Danny further on the season, and you pushing for the first place on the grid. You had a great qualifying as well, so we'll look forward to seeing more of that. So, well done, F1 Gravity.
Thank you.
And finally, for our final interview for today, we have Sink Kazatu today, and he had a great race with the Ferrari today. So, Sink, how do you think that went for you?
I think it went a lot better than I was expecting, since I only did one lap in quali. But the start I got just made it even easier for me, and then some of the incidents happened to Ryan and Miles definitely helped. And getting past, was it Mercury? I think it was. I think that was just a tip of the iceberg. It was brilliant for me, especially since I've not had the best of season so far.
Yeah, you were battling with Mercury for, well, most of that race. Did you, I mentioned the same question to Gravity. Was it turn 1 you had the best opportunity, or was there any other corners you felt you could get around?
Well, there's only really one overtaking spot, and that is turn 1, which is where I got him. But yeah, you have to be very brave to go anywhere else on the track to overtake.
And my final question for you: we saw so many lockups in today's stage race by every driver. I wanted to ask, what's your opinion on that? Because every driver seemed to, especially turn 3, just lock up nearly every time.
that corner is very hard to not lock up on, but it's part of driving it. Sometimes you can help it, sometimes you can't.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment there. I'm sure you're happy with P3. It was your first ever podium this season. Are you happy with it, or were you hoping for a bit better?
Oh, I'm definitely happy with it.
Well, that's great to hear. Well, thank you to all those people who interviewed after the race. We'll look forward to seeing you, well, hopefully look forward to seeing you on the podiums later on.
Right, cheers, man.
And Scratter, over to you.
Well, that will do it for us here. Make sure to join us next week as we head over to China, as we have almost the exact opposite type of track. A nice winding track that we had here at Zandvoort becomes a very flowing, high-speed track in Shanghai. Until next week, the same time, same place, we will see you next Sunday.